Shalawama, Shalawama, good evening, welcome. I do apologize for being late. I'm Dr. Yasapa with Zion Law School, and we are going to continue with the Astrotheology book. This is what it looks like when you print it, all right? This is what the PDF looks like when you print it. Let me remove everybody please print this. Get the PDF, but I think they sell it on, they also sell it, but you can get the PDF on Amazon or wherever you want to get it, right? But make sure you go out and get this. You can read along. So if there's ever a disruption with the live feed, you'll be able to get in, okay? So this is the book, The Devil's Pulpit by Dr. Well, not doctor, by the Reverend Robert Taylor. Again, I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. We're going to begin on page 125. Page 125, we're going to begin with the reading. And if you are new to Zion Law School, our YouTube channel, this is the Astrotheology series of videos. This book is 341 pages. 341 pages. So we're going to go through the entire book. Right now we're on page 125, okay? And I think this is the 22nd or the 23rd video. We're going to do this every day until we finish the book, okay? Every day until we finish. Sorry about yesterday. I laid down and I fell asleep. I didn't wake up until late. But anyway, here we are. We're going to get started. Now, for those of you who are new here, the way we do this is I'll read and interpret the paragraph. So I read, I interpret, and after that, I discuss. But what I would like for you to do, those of you scholars who are in the audience, I would like for you to share. Please don't be stingy. Share your knowledge. Put it in the chat, whether it's a question, whether it's more additional information, or whether you're answering questions, because there are going to be other people who come in here and they're going to read the comments, okay? So this is an educational platform. This is to educate and inform. This is not to change your mind, right? This is to educate you. Your decisions are your decisions, okay? So there's no evangelizing coming from me. All right, so let me take a look at the chat. Roderick's point of view says, good evening. Good evening, my brother. Okay, so let's take a look. Jerry says autochthonous. What else do we have here? I know you are correct in what you are, I think, saying, but someone is blocking the true meaning. Wow, Doc, you got that right, brother. All right. Keep doing what you're doing. Most definitely will. Most definitely will. Let's see. Be patient because we're running around like a chicken with his head cut off. Yeah. Love and celebration. Life is already changing. I see something I never seen. Excellent. That's what we want. That's what we want. Get away from these curses, right? Get off of these curses. Get on to the tangible, real, tangible, lavish gifts that the Most High promises us in Deuteronomy Chapter 28, verse 1 through 14. What's the point if you don't have something that inspires you, something that you can hold, touch, feel, taste, smell, right? What's the point? Okay. And the Most High knows that we want stuff. And we want love, we want each other, we want health. And these are the things that he's offering us per the contract. Read it yourself. A lot of you, I'm sure, already know, but there are some people who may be new to this. Okay, and this may be the first time that they've ever heard of this. So if you've heard this before, be patient, share your knowledge with people in the chat. But that's what it's about, y'all. Returning to the Most High is about living well, right? And not just well, we're offered a lavish lifestyle. Read Deuteronomy 28 through 1 through 14. So that's what it is. So I'm going to shut my camera off right now, and I'm going to get going with the reading. And if y'all want to come in, or if y'all want to call in and talk, just let me know in the chat, and I will put my phone number, or I can send you the link and you can come into the live stream, especially if you're, let's say, a New Testament believer. You know, we'd like to hear what you have to say and what your views are. We only ask that no evangelizing and no arguing. Okay, Roderick's point of view said, just shared the live with my Twitter people. Excellent, Roderick's point of view. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Shalawama. All right. So let's do it, y'all. This is page 125. We're in the Unjust Judge chapter. Y'all might recall that this is drawing a parallel between Gemini, right? The constellation Gemini. Give me 1 second. I hear an echo. Okay, so there's a parallel being drawn between the constellation Gemini and the unjust steward who robbed his master, and then the deity praised him for it, commended him for it, and then the unjust judge who refused to give justice to the elderly woman, and then when he finally avenged her against her enemy, he didn't do it because he was charged to give justice. He did it because that lady was getting on his nerves. So the point the author is making is that the deity in the Gospels is wicked. That explains why when we look at the history of the Christians, their pastors, all of the people who have position in their in all of the Christian organizations, you see their conduct is wicked. Okay, and the author is saying that's because the Christ figure and the deity, so the Father and the Son, S-O-N, are both wicked. That's his point. And we were dealing also with the clergy, the judges, right? Y'all remember the judges who are supposed to be advocates and serious scholars of the law. Remember the balanced scales, committed to justice, so on and so forth. Well, the judges and the priests, they work together. They support each other. Both of them are just as crooked. All right, so now let's get to it. That's the little summary. Page 125 at the top. Let me get the document sharing. If y'all want me to review something in terms of a summary, just let me know, and we can do this together. If it's more beneficial, we can do it together in that way. So here we are. We're reading from here, the highlight. That's page 125. Okay, so I'll begin. And Mark 2, the wicked fraud, the cheat and the dishonor of the compact between the man of prayer and his familiar spirit, whom he calls capital G-O-D. It is of the same nature as the engagement between a quack doctor and his hireling patients, whom he engages to puff off his nostrums, to swear how bad they were before they took the balm of Gilead. And what wonderful benefits they had experienced from it. The interesting thing about that, right, is that they conspired together to commit a fraud, right? That's what I'm getting at a deeper level. It's the conspiracy to commit fraud. Okay, they did it together. All right, so now let's continue it. It is of the same nature as the secret understanding between the auctioneer and the sweeteners, as they were called, who are the bait set in the fool trap to make you believe that the goods are worth 10 times their value. And if you don't make haste, you'll lose the best bargains that ever were in the world. See, there's a conspiracy. There is the jewel of salvation. For next skin to nothing, there's the pearl of great price, going for 6 pence. And what would it profit a man, say they, should he gain the whole world and lose such a bag full of moonshine as they sell him at the gospel shop? Next paragraph, quote, let us, end quote, say they, quote, as newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the world that we may grow thereby, end quote. Though, when we've grown a little, let me repeat that. Though, when we've grown a very little, we begin to perceive that the sincere milk of the word has a devilish blue look, and that 'tis not the spiritual babes, but the spiritual nurses that get the cream of it. So he's saying that the person seeking the spirit is not getting it. It's the nurse, right? The nurse is going to be part of the Christian organization who's getting the cream. And you, the petitioner, you're getting, basically he's saying you're getting screwed, right? Okay, so the author is very, what's the word? I can't think of the word. It'll come to me. It'll come to me later. All right, let's go to the next paragraph. And here I cannot but glance at a contrivance of those spiritual nurses who dish up the meat for babes at all our Bible association and Jew converting and gospel propagating societies. When the funds of the society run low and the collection is likely to leave them minus, they always come in with the, but my brethren, it's your prayers that the society desires. If you have nothing else to give, you can give us your prayers. It isn't your money that we look for, but your prayers. Capital God forbid that we should think his cause dependent on an arm of flesh. And there, say the babes in suckling of the gospel, there's disinterestedness for you. Where will you find infidels that will act from such disinterested motives? I'd give a shilling if 'twas the last I had in the world, because I see that they are not greedy. And then he says, way, yay, and I need to change the page, y'all. So in other words, they're fronting like they don't want money, right? They're fronting, but they want to get in your pocket. The next prayer, it continues to say, YA, and they see too that once they make a man fool enough to prattle to the skylarks, there's a good chance that he'll be fool enough for anything. An honest prayer is all I ask for. Produce me one single instance of an honest prayer, and then I'll say, 'tis possible that a man who says prayers may be an honest fool. Wow, this author, he's really, he speaks in a way that's really stinging, doesn't he? But it's still funny. He's funny, you know, at least to me. I'm getting a kick out of the way he expresses himself. All right, let's continue. But when I see contrivance, trick, and management between capital God and man, when I see the man who puts himself under the protection of omnipotence, putting omnipotence under his protection in turn, and that the bargain between them is, if you'll serve me, I'll serve you. You get me out of my scrapes, and I'll get you out of yours. What can I think but that a man is more knave than a fool? Y'all go back and look that word up. We looked up knave several times. It's an important word to know the meaning of, okay? These are tricky fellows, okay, deceitful. And that if the capital God were anything more than a figment of the man's conceit, meaning a figment of his imagination, they are but two knaves, okay, two deceitful, tricky liars, laying their heads together. See, that's a conspiracy to choose and cheat mankind. So the author is saying that these religions, the Abrahamic religions, are really just out for power, control, and money, right? And there's a conspiracy, okay? A conspiracy. All right, so now let's continue. And it isn't not such a provision to get omnipotence out of the scrape and to prevent his omnipotence and weakness from being found out. When the practitioner petitions for nothing, but with that swindling, shrinking, saving clause in submission to the divine will, and so ask for nothing, that it will cost omnipotence any trouble to grant. Okay, so you're not getting anything, right? Not even asking for anything. Spiritual joys, grace in the soul, and everlasting crowns in heaven are so much cheaper than bread and cheese and potatoes that the sanctified knave always provides for the glory of capital God by not asking him for anything. Y'all ever get that? I know I saw that a lot in the religion I was involved in, right? The people constantly giving, but they don't give you anything, right? And then if you ask, you know what they're going to say. Well, you haven't been with us long enough, or whatever organization you all are in. I'm sure you know what happens in yours, but I knew what happened in the one that I was in, right? Very few people could get anything out of them. Okay. And if they did do something, it was so they wouldn't look bad. Okay. All right. So let's continue. But now I know someone who said that in her Christian church, the people helped each other. Okay. All right. So now let's continue. Spiritual joys, grace in the soul, and everlasting crowns in heaven are so much cheaper than bread and cheese and potatoes that the sanctified knave always provides for the glory of capital God by not asking him for anything, which, being of a nature to admit of proof, whether it had been granted or not, might prove that he stood not quite so high in court of favor as he pretended. Okay, so he didn't have the pull with the creator to get it, right? And that this divine crony, his capital God, that he has to fly to when he is in trouble, thinks, if he thinks at all, that he's an impudent thief for his pains. The poets Juvenal and Horace, and the moralist Aesop have led our ideas to only one instance that I remember, with the exception of the prayers of Jacob, in which the arrangement is perfectly fair and honorable. The man, a poor, benign pagan, to be sure, got grace, or rather good sense at last, to wrestle in prayer with his wooden tetragrammaton to the effect. Let me scroll down. All right. So he's talking to the deity, right? Quote, O Almighty and everlasting capital God, maker of heaven and earth, and of all things visible and invisible, all my life long, okay, we go to the next page, have I been worshiping and adoring your divine majesty and calling you all the infinitely wise lowercase gods and holies and almighties and everlastings and infinites that I could find big words in the dictionary to call you by. And I and my poor family are only getting worse and worse till nothing but starvation stares us in the face. So, in other words, he's doing all this prayer and no prayer is getting answered, right? He's not getting anything. He's getting poorer and poorer and hungrier and hungry. Prayers are not answered. Prayers are not answered. And I used to wonder why my prayers didn't get answered when I was in Christianity. All right, let's continue. Now, my capital Lord, capital God, though you can live without eating and drinking, I cannot. In other words, he needs food, right? Though you have no bowels, I have. So he's saying, I got bowels and I need to eat and drink. Well, you then advance me a mortgage on that heavenly inheritance, which you have promised us. He's saying, give me a loan in advance. He's saying, loan me some of this stuff in advance that you promised me in the future because I need it now. I'm desperate. Let me go again. Will you then advance me a mortgage on that heavenly inheritance which you have promised us? Say but a shilling, 6 pence, a penny, a half a penny % to save us from starvation. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to this, y'all. You know, you're in a bad situation and you're trying to get things together and you're praying, you're doing everything that you were expected to do, as said by the Christ figure in the Gospels, as said by the apostles. You've done everything and you've been praying, and yet you're getting nothing, right? No answer to the prayer. And so therefore you're left wondering why, right? What are you doing wrong? Okay. What are you doing wrong? Right? And you need to provide for yourself and your family. So I think I can relate to this. I don't know about y'all. If y'all can relate to it, put it in the chat. But anyway, let's keep going. Next paragraph. The prayer was answered just as all other prayers are answered. And the indignant man, awakening to the reason of a man, seized the priest Pulpit by the leg and dashed him to pieces. Away went rags and righteousness. Away went grace and grease. Away went poverty and prayer. When he got the capital God out of his house, he got the devil out of his house. The ducats, dollars, crowns, and half crowns rolled about him. The bacon, bread, and beef took the place of the cupboard of Bibles and prayer books. I can relate to this too, because I remember when I was in Christianity calling on those deities, my life was hard. But when I got those deities out of my life, y'all, my life completely turned around for the better. And when I got those deities out of my life, I was able to see the people around me who were toxic. I mean, extremely toxic. Toxic in my life. In fact, when I started to examine my relationships with them, I'm talking about family members, I realized that these people did not have my best interest in mind, and I needed to escape. And I'm saying escape because I'm choosing the word escape, right? So when I got these deities off of my back, my life completely turned around. Everything started to go well for me. I got rid of these people who had been trying to harm me, indirectly behind my back. What do they call it? Flying monkeys. Any of y'all know about the narcissistic family situation, right? You get people who are around you and they just do some of the worst things. Okay. So I've experienced all of that. But what this author is saying, I can relate to it as being true, right? But You cannot relate to it as being true as long as you have those deities in your life. I didn't see it until I got them out of my life and no longer gave them any respect. Okay, that's my testimony. And I found what he's saying is true, because y'all remember 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock, 12 o'clock, June 21st, the sun is at the zenith. That's the Christ. 6 o'clock, December 21st, 22nd, sun is at its lowest point, right? The declination. That's the devil. So remember that straight line, 1230, Christ and the devil are the same. Remember that? Also remember Ezekiel chapter 1, verse 7, where the tetragrammaton, the deity, right, is cloven-footed. The author brings this out. The deity is cloven-footed. Y'all remember that, right? Cloven-footed. Satan is cloven-footed. And there's another Bible verse that the author brings out. Let me find it. Equating, because what the author is saying in the paragraph that we just read is that the deity, the tetragrammaton, the Father in the gospel, just the Father, period, that's a whole different thing. The House of Yasharallah never referred to the Most High as a father in a biological sense. That didn't come around with, I think, until Isaiah. It's an adoptive relationship, not a biological relationship. The nations had biological relationships with their deities who were Nephilim. But let's continue. So I want to show y'all these other verses where the author brought out that the tetragrammaton and Satan the devil are one and the same. Okay, here it is. First Chronicles chapter 21, verse 1. 2 Samuel chapter 24, I believe it's verse 1. Okay, so something that Satan did was attributed to the tetragrammaton. All right. First Chronicles chapter 21, verse 1. 2 Samuel chapter 24, verse 1. What Satan did was attributed to the tetragrammaton. Okay, that's the Father that the Christ figure called on. Now, keep in mind that the author's point of view is that this Father deity and the Christ figure are imaginary creatures. Okay, they're imaginary. They've never lived. They don't have life. So what he's saying, what the author is referring to, is that the priest, the Catholic Church, or the Christians, right? Let's say all of the Christians, they've conspired together and created a fake deity. Okay, they created a fake deity or fake deities, and now they're using the deity and the dogma against you. Okay, they're using it against you to gain control over your mind and your pocket, and probably your wife and your children too, to do whatever they're going to do. That's what the author is saying. All right. So let me see. Where are we? All right. So we're on page 126. Let me go back, make sure I'm in the right place. Feel free to comment. I'll put your comments on screen if you have anything you want to say. Yeah, we're on page 126. We're at the highlight. Y'all see the highlight? We're going to start where it says spiritual joys, grace in the soul. Oh, we already read that. Hold on. Okay, so hold on, y'all. Okay, so we're on page 27. My bad. We're on page 127. And okay, so we're over here. Here we are. There we are, the highlight there. And the persons told the people never to go near that profane, wicked man who pointed to his well-clothed wife and well-fed children, told the persons, quote, "We've no more need of your spiritual physic or psychic." You may let the booby hutch. So I think what he's saying is that they have told people not to want to be around prosperous people, people who are able to take care of their family. Okay. Now that's an issue I've always had with Christianity too, right? They want you to be humble and broke. And what little you do have, they want you to give them 10% and, pay for this and pay for that. You know what I mean? I never liked that about the religion I was involved in. Okay. They want you to give them your time, your money. You got to buy everything, right? You have to give them a monthly check, all of that, but yet you don't have anything. So this is a way of keeping you oppressed and under their control because you always need them. If you had enough cash, you wouldn't have as many problems, right? And you wouldn't need them as much. Unless, of course, you have bad habits, right? Okay, next paragraph. To those who can guess the moral of the fable, the politic or political intention of the parable, which is the exact reverse of it in every respect, will be easy. The one is generous effort to undeceive and disable a priest-ridden and gospel-gammoned people, okay? By some great moralist whose name, could it be ascertained, would deserve to be enwreathed in the grateful remembrance of the whole human species. So where is he going with this? The other is some equally anonymous priestly villain. The other is some equally anonymous priestly villain's priestly plot to degrade, to debase, and to destroy every spark of nobleness and every capability of a noble resentment, which princes, priests, and oppressors have to fear in men, and make us everlasting petitioners and patient submitters to all the wrongs and cruelty that princely power and priestly pride shall put on us. Y'all know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of the Secret Treaty of Verona. Now, if you remember the Secret Treaty of Verona, y'all will remember that the governments, well, let me state it in more clear terms. Church and state work together. Church and state work together. Christianity, specifically the Pope, okay, so we'll keep it focused on y'all Google the Secret Treaty of Verona, okay? Google the Secret Treaty of Verona. What you're going to find is that the Pope, through Christianity, through the Gospels, through the New Testament, submits the people to the princes, okay? So this would be the governments, right? The governments. Now, remember, monarchies, King Michael Ross, thank you, says good vibes. Much appreciated. So remember, a monarchy is a king, one man controls everything. Your life is literally in that king's hands, right? These days they have what are called constitutional monarchies, right? Where they have a constitution, okay? And then the king might be playing in the background, okay? So you see him up front, but you don't really see his power. You see the power of, let's say, the legislative body, prime minister, so things like that, okay? Now, the Secret Treaty of Verona wants to get rid of all representative forms of government. Now, what does that mean? Representative forms of government, the Republican form of government, okay? Where every man is his own king and your rights end where they begin to trespass on somebody else's rights. Y'all follow me? So you have the right to think your own thoughts and do what you want to do. Be who you want to be. And you don't owe anybody anything. It's called alloidial ownership. And you are the rightful heir of everything that's passed down or that's descendable from your family line. In other words, you're the boss. You're the boss. I'm the boss of me. You're the boss of you. These monarchies, they don't want that. They want you to be their subject, so you need to pay them, right? You need to give them your daughters. And if they're homosexual and they're, like we've seen in history, what they do, okay? That's a big, big deal. This is the secret treaty of Verona. The Pope, the Christian churches, they work with government, all right, to submit the people. And how do they do it? Through doctrine, to make you into a coward, to make you afraid to die, because you're going to burn in hell, right? Or you won't get resurrected. You don't get to go into the kingdom, to make you a coward, a fool, right? You give all your money away and your family's hungry. And the prayers aren't working, but you think if you pray a little bit more, if you go out preaching on the corner or door to door a little bit more, then the deity is going to provide for you, when you should be using that time to make more money or fiat or buy land, grow a garden to produce for your family. Y'all see what I'm saying? If you are involved in Christianity, or if you're following the New Testament, you may be offended by what I'm saying, okay? Which is to be understood, because you're supposed to be, because that's the indoctrination. But anyway, let me get off my soapbox. Let's continue with the reading. If I'm going too far, y'all let me know, because I don't want to get off track. All right, so we are, let's see, where are we? Oh, okay, we're here. We're at the bottom, the last paragraph, okay, where the highlight is. And it reads, to those who can guess the moral of the fable, the politic or political, no, we just read that. All right, so we're on the next page. Sorry about that, y'all. All right, so we're about to end this chapter. Good. We're going to end this chapter. 128 from the top reads, if men ought always to pray, here's a pretty praying trade for a set of idle lubberly thieves who find praying easier than working. Oh, y'all hear that? Find praying easier than working, okay? And the millions, in other words, he's saying prayer can become a crutch, right? Prayer can become a crutch, and instead of using your time to work and earn, you're focused on praying, okay? Which is not going to get you anywhere. That's what he's saying. And the millions who couldn't possibly continue their existence if they were always at it themselves must be pinched of their honest earnings to pay the monkish knaves. In other words, you got to pay the priests, see? To pray for them. Y'all see that? You got to pay the monks, the priests, to pay for you. That's that monthly tithe or whatever it is, however you do it in your church or camp or synagogue. And thus, a mystical importance is attached to a set of gourmands and big bellies who could make themselves of importance by no other means. In other words, these religious leaders, if not for being able to have you in the church and give them money, they couldn't make it doing something else. That's what he's saying, right? And I know when I was coming up, they were saying that the worst people tend to go into being a pastor, right? The people who just, lifelong criminals, just released from prison. That's what they used to say. I don't know if they still say that now. And while the poor man is driven to turn his talent from one art to another and finds every inch of ground on which he might struggle for a living taken from him by the encroachment of machinery, while every article of human apparel is got up by machinery, shoes, stockings, hats, and gloves, all by machinery, printing, inking, and almost thinking by machinery. That's true today, isn't it? Even more so today because of computers. Yet no machinery has been introduced into our country to take the person's job out of their hands. So in other words, no machine has replaced the priesthood. That's a good point. That's a darn good point. I never thought of that. They even have machines that are replacing doctors. Are y'all aware of that? Like a pathologist. They have machines that are doing that now. They might be out of work soon, right? So let's continue. He says here, though the use of machinery in this way would save the nation the clear sum of 9,920,000 a year. Wow, that's how much money he said they were making back in the early 1800s when he was giving these lectures. 9,900,000. So that's roughly $10 million, right, per year. And do the work much more needy. You know, I never thought about that. I've never heard of any app that replaces the pastor or the rabbi. Anybody ever heard of something like that? I never even thought about that. I never thought about that. Jerice says, no, come with it, man. All right, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so we are on our next chapter in the Devil's Pulpit, and this chapter is called Virgo Paritura. Let me show it. Okay, so y'all can see it. This is Virgo Paritura. All right, so let's get it. Let's get it. First paragraph reads, in the second article of our Holy Church's most holy creed, falsely called the Apostles' Creed, are these words, quote, and in JC, his only son, S-O-N, our capital L-O-R-D, who was conceived by the Holy Ghost, born of the Virgin Mary, end quote. The sentence is governed in the construction by the initial verb, I believe. In Latin, credo, or credo rather. Whence the whole matter which follows is called the creed. So I guess that's the belief, right, y'all? And the credulous person giving credence to this creed professes himself to believe or take for sooth and truth every article contained in this creed. The whole number of articles being 12 in honor of the 12 patriarchs, in honor of the 12 tribes of Israel, in honor of the 12 gates of the heavenly Jerusalem, in honor of the 12 pillars of the temple of Heliopolis, in honor of the 12 altars of Janus, in honor of the 12 labors of Hercules, in honor of the 12 shields of Mars, in honor of the 12 mansions of the moon, in honor of the 12 great lowercase gods, in honor of the 12 great apostles, in honor of the 12 great angels in heaven, in honor of the 12 great rivers in hell, in honor of the 12 rays of the sun, in honor of the, let me turn the page up. Let me turn the page. In honor of the 12 months of the year, in honor of everything that was reckoned by 12s. but not in honor of one single reason. Okay, let's see what that one single reason is. I must, for the present inquiry, beg to suspend your curiosity upon the nail of vulgar apprehension as to the quote, and in JC, his only son, SON, our capital LORD, who was conceived by the Holy Ghost, born of the, end quote. Let all that remain in the status quo as it did, or as it may in any mind, while we confine our inquiry exclusively to the Virgin Mary. So in other words, the author is saying, we're only going to deal with the Virgin Mary right now. So focus on Virgin Mary and don't focus on anything else in the verse, okay? Anything else that we've considered. Focus now only on Virgin Mary. Let's continue. Who was the Virgin Mary? Who was she when she was at home? Where was she born? How did she live? Where did she die? Where did she come from? Where did she go to? Let me repeat that. Why was she a virgin? Why was her name Mary? What does the name Mary mean? What is she to us? What are we to her? So now remember, in this chapter, or was it last chapter, the author emphasized critical thinking. And he told us that critical thinking is asking questions, right? He said criticism. That was the word he used, criticism. Ask questions. Doubt everything. Ask questions. So here are some questions to help you criticize or critically think through how to identify who the Virgin Mary is. All right. All right. So now let's go with the next paragraph. See, that's really easy, right? It's really easy. It just takes effort and time to be able to generate these questions. Okay. And most people are not willing to put in the effort to think about these questions, but everybody can do it. But 99.99% of the people will not. Okay? They will not. And then 99% of the people who start won't finish their list of questions, right? All right, now let's continue. Why was it that we are so expressly, so y'all don't be like one of the people who start and then don't finish. If you're here, I'm sure you would finish, you'd write down all your questions, okay? Because we're thorough like that. We are thorough like that. All right, so let's continue. Why was it that we are so expressly and emphatically told? The scripture cited is Luke chapter 1, verse 26. That it is in the 6th month that she received the visit from the angel Gabriel. Okay, so the 6th month, Gabriel visited her. The 6th month, reckoning March the 1st. Okay, so, all right, March the 1st is the 6th month. All right, the 6th month. So I'm wondering what calendar is he using? The 6th month, reckoning March the 1st, being, as we all know, the month of August. Let's see. All right. Okay. So I think what he's doing is counting from March to August, and that's 6 months. All right. So let's see. Why was this Virgin Mary espoused to a man? Question number 1. 2. Why was the man's name Joseph? Question number 3. Why was he of the house of David? Question number 4. Why did the Blessed Virgin arise in those days, which were in that 6th month? Why did she go into the hill country? Why was the city of Judah, in which she appeared, situated in the hill country? And when she appeared in that city of Judah, which was situated in the hill country, why did she say that capital God regarded that low estate of his handmaiden? And why should the handmaiden of the capital Lord have ever been in a low estate? It's a good question. Why did she say that she was his handmaiden? Not meaning, okay, this is in parentheses, as capital God forbid, we should think that she could mean, okay, that's close parentheses, his handyman, handy maiden. But yet his foot maiden, nor his head maiden, nor anything else but his handmaiden. Okay, so he's saying why specifically handmaiden and not some other type of maiden? So there must be some significance to her being a handmaiden. Okay, next paragraph. Why does she say that he had put down the mighty from their seats and exalted them of low degree? In other words, why did he put the people who got power and position down and the people who have no power and position up? That's what he's asking. Why does she talk about the hungry being filled with good things and the rich being sent empty away? Such revolutionary and seditious language as, had it been thrown out to the agricultural laborers of the present day, would have exposed her to 2 years imprisonment in the Compter prison of this city, to pay a fine of 200 lire. Let me see. Okay, I understand. So the switching of the roles between the rich and the poor, that's what he's talking about, would have landed her in jail. Okay, a fine of 200 lire to the king, and to be further bound in securities of 1,000 lire. Wow. To be of good behavior for 10 years to come, and to be further imprisoned till such fines shall be paid. Wow. And such sureties found. So I guess that's no joke, right? To talk about switching place between the poor, the haves and the have-nots. Okay. Theotokos, Gary Tucker says Theotokos, Greek, for mother of capital God, yet is the mother of Jesus. Is Jesus now capital God? How sway? Excellent question. Excellent question. I think some people say he is. What do y'all think? I think some people say he is. That, you know, that whole Trinity thing, I don't know if that's still popular, but when I was in Christianity, it was popular. All right. So next paragraph. Why does she say that all generations should call her blessed? Why is it that no historical record whatever, i.e., in all the world, not one recognizes the existence of this most wonderful personage which the world had ever had in it? So why is that, right? Why is our reason patient under the outrageous violence of being required to believe that he who was the pattern of all virtue packed up his own flesh and bowels for immortality, while he left the world, let me repeat that, while he left the mold in which he was cast, the mold in which he was cast, the lap in which he lay, the arms which had embraced him, for worms meat? In other words, the Christ figure had it so good in heaven. Why would he come here? That's how I'm understanding this paragraph. Okay, next. Why is it that in exact proportion as the various denominations of Christians have seceded further and further from the Catholic Church, you find them paying less and less respect to the Virgin Mary? Now, that's a good question. I mean, that's a really, really good question, right? Why is it that when these organizations break off from the Catholic Church that they don't really recognize the Virgin Mary, right? Why is that? It's a good question. Not half so much in the Church of England as in the Church of Rome, nor half so much among any other denomination of Christians as in the Church of England, and among the Unitarians, none at all. That's a very good question. Okay, Gary Tucker says, then who is begotten? All right, so maybe some people in the chat can answer that question, get the conversation going. Who is the begotten? The begotten, that's a good question. Who is the begotten? All right, thanks for that comment, Gary. And thanks everybody for the comments. Thanks everybody for the comments. Let me try to focus back on where I is. Hold on. Let me get my spot, y'all. All right. So here we are. Next question is, why is it that among all boasted treatises on the evidences of Christianity, not one has ever attempted to prove the existence of the mother of Christ? It's also a darn good question. And why is it that in proportion as the attempt is made to give an historical basis to Christianity, all reference to his mother is so carefully avoided? That's another excellent question, in my opinion. If y'all agree, put a 1 in the chat. Are not these questions which a man should ask? Are not these questions that a man should ask? So nobody should get mad because or you are asking these questions. Nobody should get mad, right? These are legitimate questions, critical thinking. And on the patriarchs, steward of the holy house of capital G-O-D, who has conserved the bread of life and the wheat of the elect, end quote, which if it led us not into temptation to suspect what particular virgin it was, whose greatest festival is celebrated on the 15th of August, who presides over wheat and corn. Y'all see where this is going? Y'all see where this is going? The celestial virgin presides over wheat and corn. Remember from the other videos, we already know who this is. We already know. Well, let's continue. Which, if it lead us not into temptation to suspect what particular virgin it was, whose greatest festival is celebrated on the 15th of August, who presides over wheat and corn, and who is the particular handmaid of the capital G-O-D. We have never contemplated the constellation Virgo. The constellation Virgo with her extended arm, in which is the bright star Vendimatrix, holding in her hand an ear of corn called Spica Virginis. The stars which constitute her head being scarcely visible with the naked eye. The figure is chiefly to be made out by those stars which go to the making up of the hand, which gives her the distinction of being not the foot or the leg or the head, but the handmaid of the capital G-O-D. That is the maid with the hand. The stars that make up the hand are more visible than the head. Therefore, she is the handmaiden. Now, remember, This is the author saying this, not me. And these are the author. For me, the credibility that the author has is because he was in these secret societies and he's telling their secrets. Okay. And so far, in my opinion, he's presented a very strong case. And for those of you who've been here for, let's say, from the beginning until now, I don't know if you guys think he's presented a strong case, but in my opinion, he's presented a strong case. I found a few instances where he was wrong about a few things, if y'all remember. But overall, I think he is presenting a very, very strong case. Okay, because it's not just one thing, it's not just two things, it's all of these things together that makes it look like his case is strong. Okay, let's continue to the next paragraph. Let me make sure I'm on the right page, y'all. Let me check the document, make sure I'm on the right page. Okay, I need to, sorry about that, I didn't turn the page. All right, so y'all gonna have to read that. I'm on page 134. Oh, wow. I've been reading that far and not turning the pages. Where am I? Wait a minute. Yeah, 134. Sorry about that, y'all. I think did I skip a page? Hold on. I think I may have skipped a page. Let me see. Okay, here we are. Yeah, here we are. Here we are. So, okay, I'm good now. We're on page 132, y'all. Page 132. Page 132. I'm on track. All right. So, page 132. Hold on. I need I should have somebody helping me because I'm getting confused as I try to do all of this. Okay, so this is, and are not the questions which a man should ask. That's page 131. Okay, so 131, 132. I'm right. Okay, so 132. Okay, so we're at the top, and I'll continue reading now. It says here, and on which he should insist on being sanctified, and he would wish to be faithful in the exercise of the faculty of his reason, by which alone he is superior to a brute. So the author is saying, ask these questions, think critically, right? Use your faculty of reason. That's what the Most High gave it to us for. That's what and who can get mad at you for using it if they're being honest and they have your best interest in mind? That's how I'm understanding that paragraph. So let's continue. Let's move on. And does it become a man to be going to church and chapel week after week and year after year to come away no wiser than he went, listening forever to eternal repetitions of sounds without sense and words without meaning? In other words, you put an investment of time and energy and your money into going to this church, but yet you don't know anything more than the first day you went in. Basically, that's what he's saying. I mean, once you learn what they're going to teach you, you stay flat and you're not getting anything out of it but the dogma that you've been hearing year in and year out, right? Because you've been there long enough to learn their doctrine. But then after you learn the doctrine, there's nothing there for you. That's what he's saying. Okay, let's continue. Next paragraph. If learning be better than ignorance, and wisdom better than folly, in your apprehension, remember all ye have ever heard elsewhere, in comparison with what now ye shall hear. Okay, so let's see what he's going to say. And do yourselves the justice to reject the evil and to choose the good. The Church of England celebrates two great festivals annually to honor the Virgin Mary. The one on the 2nd of February, called the Purification of Saint Mary the Virgin, and the other on the 25th of March, called the Annunciation of the Blessed Virgin Mary, or Lady Day, keep that mind in line, that name in mind. Lady Day. The Church of Rome, being 4 times more religious than the Church of England, celebrates 8 annual feast as celebrates 8 annual feast and as many preparatory fast. Wow, 8 feasts a year and about 8 fasts to prepare for the feast the day before. My goodness. To make ready for the feast to honor this divine lady. These are respectively. Okay, so here are the feasts, y'all. Her purification, that's 1. 2, her annunciation. 3, her visitation. Well, let me read the dates too for the record. Let me start over. 1, her purification is February 2nd. Her annunciation is March 25th. Her visitation is July 2nd. Her dispensation is January 23rd. Her commemoration is July 16th. Her nativity is September 8th. Her conception is December 8th. Her assumption is August 15th. Why are these particular festivals kept on these particular days? Excellent question. I'm going to suspect that they're going to have an astronomical correlation. Of the Virgin Mary, it is the first to be observed that the epithet added to her name bears no such sense in its primitive applications as modern parlance attaches to it. Okay, so that's saying that the name means something different than its etymological meaning. For though she is repeatedly, that was at present, and during his day it had a different meaning. For though she is repeatedly called a virgin, she is never called a maid. The term virgin being applicable to any virtuous person. Okay, so virgin in his time, I guess it's the same as ours. People think she never had sexual relations, right? The author says here, the term virgin being applicable to any virtuous person. So any virtuous person would be a male or female. Neither, let me repeat that, either married or single, and either male or female. Y'all see that? Now, they don't teach that in the camps, do they? That it could be a male or a female, any virtuous person. Male or female, except where she says herself, quote, behold, the handmaid of the capital Lord, end quote. And that capital God, quote, had regarded the low estate of his handmaiden, end quote. The celebrated 7th chapter of Isaiah, verse 15, rendered in the Septuagint of the Vatican. And then we see in Greek the 7th verse of Isaiah from the Septuagint. So what's significant about the Greek Septuagint? If you watch the video that I did with Sonetta, the title was All Abrahamic Religions Are a Hoax or a Scam or something like that. It was maybe 6 or 7 days ago, I think. Go through that, and I show that the promised land was a burning waste. So now, I don't think I said this in his video, but I'm going to say it here. According to Moses, the promised land was a burning waste, a desert, right? How is it then that these 73 elders were called back to Israel to translate the Hebrew into Greek to produce a document? Impossible, right? So chew on that for a while. All right, let's continue reading. Chew on that. And in our English, quote, behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and thou shalt call his name Emmanuel, end quote. When made to bear the preposterous sense which the privileged deceivers of the people put upon it, is only one among 10,000 instances of the egregious ignorance or wicked fraud of which, if they dared stand in controversy before us, they would stand convicted. The word which should signify a virgin in their sense of it, not being, and you see the modern Hebrew word, where is it here? You see the modern Hebrew word here, all right? Well, the script, not word, but the script, the modern Hebrew script, which is the word here used, but I can't, can y'all see that? Let me see. Okay, so these are two different words. All right, these are, the reason why I know I'm counting the pictographs, right? I'm looking at the screen, I can barely see it. But anyway, let's see what he's going to do with this, okay? But the word blessed added to the name of virgin itself interprets that word and excludes the notion of barrenness, which the word virgin alone, in some sense, which it bears in the translation, but not in the original, might seem to carry. Okay, so let's see where he's going. And this, the more especially, as the blessedness predicted of this virgin is the peculiar blessedness of fruitfulness and abundance. Y'all see that? Fruitfulness and abundance, not lack, not lack, not lack. Fruitfulness and abundance, and signifies the overflowing or that quantity over and above in exactly full measure. In other words, your cup is running over. The full measure filled up and pressed down and running over, or the handful thrown into the bargain over and above what was exactly purchased, which is called the blessing. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? But they're teaching in Christianity that she didn't have anything, right? She didn't have anything. Like she was in struggle. But according to the author, when you look at the etymological meaning, you find that it means abundance, fruitfulness, overflowing. Let's continue. She had a blessing. Y'all see how important etymology is, why you must learn etymology? Go subscribe now. 101 Ancient Ibaryath, zionlawschool.org. Go to zionlawschool.org and subscribe. $1 for 1 day trial, $10 per month subscription. So it's basically free, right? Etymology, linguistics is so important. And you're going to learn that about the Ibaryath. So go subscribe now. All right, let's continue with the paragraph. As Elizabeth, when fully, let me repeat that. As Elizabeth, when full of the Holy Ghost, explaineth its sense in these words, quote, blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, end quote. That is, not the son or daughter, but most literally the fruit. That is, apples, pears, plums, but more especially all sorts of corn and wheat, for the abundance of which bestowed on man by his particular virgin, all generations shall call her blessed or fruitful virgin. As her husband Joseph, who had nothing to do with the production of the fruits of the harvest, y'all see this? Production of the fruits of the harvest, the wheat, the corn. Y'all see it? The successful, bountiful, abundant harvest. You're going to have all that food, enough to eat through the winter, last you to the next harvest. Okay. The constellation Virgo. All right. So next paragraph. As her husband Joseph, who had nothing to do with the production of the fruits of harvest or the harvest month, was yet appointed to preside over that month. Okay, so why was Joseph appointed to reside over that month? That's the question. And was rather a husbandman. Oh, y'all know what husbandman is, right? He was rather a husbandman than a husband, as he is expressly worshipped in those words of the Holy Catholic Church. Quote, all hail, honor of, let me turn the page for y'all. All hail, honor of the patriarchs, steward of the holy house of capital God, who has conserved the bread of life and the wheat of the elect, end quote. So we read that scripture earlier on in this chapter, right? So I see where he is going. Let me read on. Well, no, let me. So a husbandman is a man who deals with farming, right? Animal husbandry, farming, agriculture. Okay, so that's what it's sounding like to me. Husbandman. Okay, so now let's continue. Steward of the holy house of capital God, who has conserved the bread of life. Okay, in other words, if you don't have no food, you ain't gonna have no life soon. And the wheat of the elect, which if it led us not into temptation to suspect what particular virgin it was, if it led us not into temptation to suspect, critical thinking, asking questions, to suspect what particular virgin it was, whose great festival is celebrated on the 15th of August, who presides over wheat and corn, and who is the particular handmaiden of the capital God. Remember, the stars that make up the hand are visible, much, much more visible than the head. Remember that? A couple pages ago. We have never contemplated the constellation Virgo with her extended arm, in which is the bright star Vendimatrix, holding in her hand an ear of corn called Spica Virginis. The stars which constitute her hand being scarcely visible. No, let me repeat that. The stars which constitute her head, not hand, her head being scarcely visible with the naked eye, the figure is chiefly to be made out by those stars which go to the making up of her hand, H-A-N-D, which gives her the distinction of being not the foot or the leg or the head, but the hand, H-A-N-D, made of the capital L-O-R-D, that is the maid with the hand. So let's make the connection. Remember the wilderness? For a person who does not understand astronomy and astrology, at that time they were the same thing. You look into the sky and you see all of these stars, and it's just nothing, right? It's just a bunch of stars. You don't see anything but a bunch of stars. That's the wilderness. But the author told us earlier on, if you learn how to connect the dots to create the constellations, then when you look up, it's no longer a wilderness, but you see the zodiac, the 12 zodiac, and you see all of the constellations, right? So now if you knew how to make the figure of Virgo, you'd understand, or you'd be able to look into the sky. You'd be able to look into the sky. Oh, what happened? You'd be able to look into the sky and see, hold on, y'all. You'd be able to look into the sky and see all of the zodiac and the constellations. All right, so that's what the author just told us several pages ago. Now we see the application of it, why it's so important. Y'all, how do I get out of this view? I don't want this view. Oh, this is even better. No, it's not. Hold on. Give me 1 second, y'all. I messed up. 1 second, get the view back right. So I hope that's clear. I hope it's clear. We made a connection. Why it's so important, as the author said, to be able to make these figures out. Okay, I'm trying to get the 2-page view back, y'all. Oh well. Give me 1 second, y'all. Let me close this out, open it up again. Give me 1 minute. Let me close it out and open it up again. How long have we been going? We've been going an hour and a half. So give me 1 second, y'all. Let's get this together. So I hope you all are enjoying the presentation today. I hope you learned something. I hope it's been worth your time up until now to be here, and that you have something interesting to talk about with your friends and family about what we covered today. Let's see, page 134. I think we've been going for about an hour and a half already. So we're gonna stop in a second so the video is not too long. It might overwhelm people. At least I've been told that the long videos, I've been asked to keep it like to 1.5 hours. So let's see. Let me make sure. Okay, so all right, so we're back in business, y'all. We're back in business. Okay, so we are, but why was her name Mary? Yeah, okay. So I'll tell you what, let's finish this page. And we can finish this page, and then that will keep us under an hour and a half. And I think it won't stress anybody out if we have the video not more than 1.5 hours. Okay. Hold on. Give me 1 second. I want to show our banner. Be sure to come to class tomorrow, those of you who can, okay? The link is in the chat for our Saturday class. It's a live online class. The link is in the chat for you to register, okay? And yeah, so do that. Make sure you register for that. The link is in the chat. It's called 506 The Curses course. We're going to do a word-for-word breakdown of Deuteronomy Chapter 28, verse 1 through 29. Linguistic analysis, okay? Not doctrine, no doctrine. Okay, so let's get back to our reading. But why was her name Mary? It is precisely the same as the name Miriam, the sister of Moses and Aaron, and literally signifies myrrh of the sea, or lady or mistress of the sea. It is precisely the same as Smyrna. The name of the 6 of the 7 churches which are in Asia, addressed by Christ in the Revelation, and which I have demonstrated to be none other than the 7 golden candlesticks, that is, the 7 constellations, the ram, the bull, the twins, the crab, the lion, the virgin, and the balance, respectively, of March, April, May, June, July, August, and September, in the midst of which the sun, that's the sun, walketh in his annual course through the summer months, or reign of the kingdom of heaven. Y'all see that? The summer months, those 6 months, is it 6 months? March, April, May, June, July, August, and September. When the sun passes through each constellation in those months, That's the kingdom of the heavens, astrotheologically. That's the kingdom of the heavens, astrotheologically. All right. That's the reign of the king of the heavens. Okay. Let's continue. It is none other than the very name. Well, we just read that. Next paragraph. Or did we just read that? No. Okay. I'm right. It is none other than the very name Myra, the mother of the beautiful Adonis in the pagan mythology. So it is none other than, he's talking about Mary, Miriam, Smyrna. Okay, so that person is the mother of Adonis in the pagan mythology. As you will find that very name Adonis to this day, given by the Jews to their supreme, capital G-O-D, Yahuwah, Y-A-H-U, which is a contraction. This is the tetragrammaton in a contracted form. And by our Catholic brethren to their supreme, capital G-O-D, J-C, the Christ figure, as in their antiphon for the 18th of December. Quote, O Adonai, the leader of the house of Israel, come and redeem us with a stretched out arm, end quote. The story of Myra in the 10th book of Ovid, introducing the character of the old woman Anna, the prophetess of Luke's gospel, the mother of the Virgin of the Catholic, the nurse of the Virgin of the pagan mythology, aiding and abetting the allegorical incest by which the Virgin of the Zodiac is alternately represented as the daughter, the wife, and the mother of the sun, S-U-N. Wow, that's quite a bit, y'all. That's quite a bit. All right, so that's very interesting stuff. Okay. All right, so that's very interesting stuff. Then let's see what else he's going to tell us. What else he's got for us. We're on page 135 now. On all which natural analogies, so clear, so beautiful, so instructive in their physical and philosophical interpretation. The clergy, whose great aim in all ages, but never so much as at the present day, has made to keep mankind in ignorance. The author is saying that the primary purpose of the clergy is to keep mankind in ignorance. Mankind means the whole world, y'all, in ignorance. Correlate this back to the secret treaty of Verona. Also correlate this back to unum sanctum, the doctrine of discovery, right? Have funded their monstrous mysteries on a conception of the Holy Ghost, a birth by the Virgin Mary, a Theotokos, a Dipera, a mother of capital G-O-D, a wife of her own father, a daughter of her own husband, a sister of her son, and mother of her brother. So just going along with the author's reasoning, we see here that the author's earlier statements about all Christian religions being immoral, being toxic, not interested in justice whatsoever, only concerned about themselves, only will act when they get some benefit out of it, right? Either you getting on their nerves or they're going to make some money off of you. This is what he's referring to, this type of immorality. Now, that's how I see it, reading through it, trying to understand the author's mind, okay? Trying to understand the author's mind, why he's writing what he has written based upon what he has written, if y'all understand what I'm saying. So let's continue. It's things like this that he's saying all these Christians are, terrible people. All of them are immoral. Remember, he said because their deity, the Christ figure and the Father, and according to him, they're one and the same. He says they're wicked. Okay, one of the examples he used was the unjust servant and the unjust judge. All right, so let's continue. So there's all kind of incest and crazy stuff going on with what we just read. Okay, she's the wife of her own father, a daughter of her own husband, a sister of her son, a mother of her brother. Y'all see what I'm saying? Crazy stuff. And all those other hideous persidities which serve to show to what a depth of degradation the human intellect may be reduced. When once 'tis left to no more learning, then the priest will provide for it. In other words, you listen to these priests and you will be completely mentally destroyed, believing that all kind of horrible, immoral stuff is right because it doesn't register to you, because they're doing what? They're casting spells on you, right? Through language. Next paragraph. The word Mary is, as everyone knows, the same as the Latin word mare, M-A-R, the sea. And in its plural form, Maria, M-A-R-I-A, pronounced Maria, signifies the seas, S-E-A-S, as the adjective marina, M-A-R-I-N-A, or of or pertaining to the sea. Read without the letter N after the ancient manner of writing is the same word, and was, from the days of an infinitely remote antiquity, one of the names of the goddess Venus. Y'all see that? Remove the N, and now you have the name of the god of Venus. You have an ancient name of the god of Venus. All right. The marine Venus, as she was called by the Romans, the Venus Anadyomene of the Greeks. Let me highlight that for y'all. Okay, so here we are. Okay, that's what he's talking about. That is Venus rising out of the sea. That is precisely the character of Miriam, the sister of Moses and Aaron, at the moment of their leading up the children of Israel out of the Red Sea. Now, y'all can make a decision as to whether you agree with this or not. When she sang that beautiful allegorical song, upon the moment of her foot standing on the horizon or shore of the mighty deep, quote, sing ye to the capital L-O-R-D, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea. So they're saying Miriam, making a reference to the sea as they were exiting the Red Sea. And he's saying that has an astrotheological meaning. At the next moment, when Spica Virginis is at the horizon, the star Pollux is at the meridian, and Sagittarius, the horse and his rider, who is the Pharaoh of the Old Testament, and Saul of the New Testament, directly pursuing Miriam and her company, is at the bottom of the sea. Let's read that again from the top. Quote, sing ye to the capital L-O-R-D, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and his rider hath he thrown into the sea, end quote. At that moment, when Spica Virginis is at the horizon, okay, that's the celestial horizon. Remember, we looked at the celestial map, y'all. Maybe I'll show that again, maybe tomorrow. I don't know if I remember. When Spica Virginis is at the horizon, I'll also try to find a picture of Spica Virginis at the horizon. Also try to find a picture of the star Pollux, P-O-L-L-U-X. Okay, the star Pollux is at the meridian. That's the celestial meridian. So Spica Virginis is at the celestial horizon. The star Pollux is at the celestial meridian. And Sagittarius, okay, Sagittarius is a horse and his rider. Sagittarius is the Pharaoh of the Old Testament and Saul of the New Testament. So Sagittarius is Pharaoh of the Old Testament, chasing the Israelites through the sea. And he is also Saul of the New Testament. Directly pursuing Miriam and her company is at the bottom of the sea. And this victory of the capital Lord over Pharaoh is expressly declared to have been achieved with a stretched out arm. Well, that's interesting, right? And look ye here, sirs, by heaven, if here is not the, okay, next page. Oops. If here is not the stretched out arm, the peculiar characteristic of the virgin of the zodiac, the handmaid of the capital Lord. Okay. I can see why he's saying that. I can see that. Okay, the stretched out arm, the peculiar characteristics of the virgin of the zodiac, the handmaiden. But the problem with it is that why doesn't it say hand, right? Because that star is made known by the hand, the stars that form the hand, not the arm. But I still see his point. I mean, I can still see the point he's making. All right, let's continue. What do y'all think? Put something in the chat. What do you think about that? Is the author, do you agree with the author? Do you disagree? If you disagree, why? If you agree, why? And remember, this is for people who come and watch the video in the future so that they can learn. Okay, this is for the people who come and watch the video in the future so that they can benefit from what you know. So don't be stingy with what you know. And don't be stingy, please, with your analysis. Share it, because other people are going to come, and we have to return as a nation, not as individuals, as a nation. Okay. So if you don't mind, share your thoughts or your questions. All right. This Venus, Anadyomene, or Marine Venus, was the subject of the finest picture of all antiquity. And that's another thing, considering what we just read. Do you agree that Miriam coming up out of the Red Sea is like the Virgin Mary, or Miriam, the sea goddess? Do y'all agree with that? Or do you think it's a stretch? Put it in the chat. It was painted by Apelles, Apelles, for the person of his favorite mistress, Campaspe, who had been given him by Alexander the Great. It came afterward in the possession of the Roman Emperor Augustus, who had it in place in the temple, which he built to the honor of his predecessor, Julius. From this infamous picture, or from records of it, it is admitted that Raphael, Corriego, and Titian, even down to our own Sir Joshua Reynolds, formed their great works, which have never yet been missing from the altars of our Catholic cathedrals. And thus the face of the harlot Campaspe has supplied the features of the Virgin Mary. Wow, y'all got what he just said? The Virgin Mary is represented by a harlot named Campaspe. The name Mary signifying mistress of the sea. Oh, this author, he doesn't hold any punches, does he? I can see why they called him a devil. They wanted revenge. They wanted the people to hate this guy. They didn't want him to have any credibility. All right, so it continues. The name Mary signifying mistress of the sea, so distinctly characterizing the marine Venus, is further identified by the vulgar versions of it into Pali and Pole which are common epithets of the sea. The Greek word polax, for many, referring to the many waves of the sea, addressed by our English poet, quote, "Hail, thou inexhaustible source of wonder and contemplation. Hail, thou multitudinous ocean," end quote. Meaning lots of water, right? I guess. Lots of moving water. And in the first Iliad of Homer, we have that noble epithet of the sea. We see it written in Greek. I don't read the Greek, so I'm going to have to skip that, y'all. That no such person as the goddess Venus or the goddess Ceres, the goddess of corn and harvest, ever really existed is admitted by everyone. And the pretense of their existence is accounted for in the moment by that natural tendency of the mind to allegorize and personify all its abstract ideas. As to this day, we personify death and speak of the cold hand of death, the jaws of death, the king of terrors. Everybody but a fool or an idiot, knowing that for all such expressions as these, no real substantial person or personage was ever meant by death. Oh, that's clear, right? Clear personification. All right. Next paragraph. So after the whole world's observance from the days of an infinitely remote antiquity, that means a long time ago, right? Very ancient history, that their corn was ripe for the sickle at the time when the sun was observed to be in that part of the heavens which is marked by a group of stars that make something like the shape of a young woman. So in other words, when you look in that part of a heaven, if you know how to put these figures together, right? When you see that young woman and the sun is over there, you know it's harvest time. All right. With the spike of corn in one hand and holding out the other, which has the beautiful star Vendimatrix in it, over another group, which they call the scales. I think that would be Libra, right? The Sabaeist, as they're called, or worshipers of the host of heavens. Oh, y'all know what Sabaeist is? I think this is the Sabian Moors or the Sabian Moors, y'all. Okay, the Sabian Moors. That's why Moors will tell you that the only religion is astrology, and they're not talking about horoscope. Roderick's point of view. Roderick's point of view says this information is interesting. It would be nice to know where he gets his data from, his sources, so that we can study those sources. I agree with you, but unfortunately, he doesn't have like a bibliography or anything. He says, if you get the book, he says that he's telling the secrets of the secret societies. That's what he says his source is, the secret society. So unfortunately, he didn't give a book list. Let's continue. Let me put your comment on the screen, Roderick's point of view. All right. Excellent comment. Excellent. Okay, so where were we? Oh, let me highlight this for y'all. This will come in handy for y'all. Look at the videos that I did about Moors are the gods on earth. Moors are the gods and the law on earth, or something like that. Go look through these. You'll see why this is important. In history, these are hidden from us, the Sabian Moors, okay? So now it's saying that they worshipped the stars, right? They worshiped the host of heavens. But did they really worship them? Or did they worship them at one time? But at earlier times, they did not worship the heavens. But that was something that they started to do later. Okay, so the connection is this. The Moors will tell you that the Sabian Moors or the Sabian Moors are the actual house of Yasharallah. Okay, that's what they'll tell you. And that Sabian Moors was hidden. It was hidden intentionally, okay, to hide the true history. So in other words, you would never discover who you are, and you'd be at odds, having division, conflict with your own people, not knowing that they're your own people. Y'all follow me? Now, this is what the Moors who understand this stuff, that's what they will teach you. And they will also tell you that true religion is astrology, but not the horoscope and not the devils and demons and gods. I don't know everything about them, but from what I can tell, they believe it's some type of energy. It's some type of energy, but not a devil, not a god, nothing like that. But it would be nice if we could have a Moor on here that could discuss this with us, you know, and tell us what it is, what exactly is astrology for them. Okay, but I do know it's not horoscope, you know, like the stuff you see on TV. All right, Roderick's point of view says in the book of Joel, it says the children of the Gentiles will be sold to the Sabians. Is that the same people group? I don't know. And Roderick point of view, when things like this come about, I have to research it, because oftentimes you'll find that a verse may not mean what's written in English if you look into the original language. Y'all follow what I'm saying to you? Or it may be, so for example, let me show you what I mean. We'll go to Jeremiah 8. We'll go to Jeremiah chapter 8. Sometimes, y'all, sometimes there are honest errors in scripture. Other times it's outright deceit, literally outright deceit. And the only way you know that is if you do a study. Okay, you study it. So this is the Bible Hub, Jeremiah 8:8. Y'all see Jeremiah 8:8 right here. Amplified Bible. How can you say we are wise and the law of the Most High is with us, and we are learned in its language and teachings? Behold, the truth is that the lying pen of the scribes have made the law into a lie, a mere code of ceremonial observances. So this is religion. Now, I recommended everyone to go back and read Unum Sanctum. I also recommended everyone to go back and read all of the Doctrine of Discovery documents, and also read the Secret Treaty of Verona. And what you're going to see is that religion is involved. Religion is involved in denationalizing us and taking everything we have and putting us into servitude, right? Regardless of what type of servitude it was. So what I'm trying to say is that these documents have been altered, right? And our job is to identify these Jeremiah 8:8 occurrences and then tell it for what it is. Tell the truth about it, right? Tell the truth about it. All right. So I hope that answers your question. Roderick's point of view. But if you have a different point of view, feel free to put it in the chat. That's just my take on it. I would have to go and research this out. Now, also remember, now this is my point of view. I believe I give more weight to what our people say than I give to what I might read in a book or article of our oppressors. And the reason why I say that is because from my experience, from my knowledge, they lie a lot, and they rule us through stories. Okay? They rule us through stories. All right. But anyway, so the question is right off, I don't know. I would have to search into this and find out. Okay. So let's go back. Okay, so y'all, we're 1 hour and 51 minutes into it. I went too far. Let me see. Where did I stop at? Oh, okay. So the and also Roderick, let me type this in the chat for you. This is spelled T-S-A, Sabaist. Sabaist. Let me put that in there. All right. So that might be where you want to start. Do like a comparison. Read up on the history of the Sabians and the Sabaists and see what you come up with. I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. So you see all of these indigenous tribes, right? Let's say in the U.S. or North America, Central, South, the islands, the indigenous tribes, and then you see the people who they call Negro, Black, and Colored. So those are brands. They're not Negro, they're not Black, and they're not colored, right? There's no such thing as Indian. And even these tribal names, I've heard some of the learned men, the powerful men among us, who say that these tribal names were actually family names, or there were names of a land or a river, and the conquerors, the colonists, the conquerors would go to those areas and make a treaty with that family group. Okay, and then they would just name them after that area or after the water or whatever, and that would be the treaty for them. And the reason why they did that is because they wanted to get around the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. You follow what I'm saying? So these things, we have examples of these things in history. All right. So what exactly this Sabian is, we have to figure it out. We have to figure it out. All right. So where were we? Okay, so let's finish this one up, y'all. Okay, so the Sabaists, as they are called, or worshipers of the host of heaven, as naturally as 'tis natural to man to possess in imagination, fell into all the imaginations and adopted all the personifications of that group of stars, which, upon the principle of faith, faith that removes mountains, became the basis of an evangelical history. What was only imagined was believed to have happened. And the mistake, however goes, was such a pleasing delusion that the fools didn't wish to be set right. I know somebody like this, y'all. I'm sure y'all probably do too. People who, let me read. Roderick's point of view says, I see they're spelled differently as well as, I see they're spelled differently as well. Also, the Moors, the astrology, from what I can remember, they used astrology to kind of like know what's going to happen on the earth, pretty much like an almanac. Yes, I agree with you. But notice what the author is saying, Roderick's point of view in this paragraph. Notice what they did. They started off using it as science, like an almanac, but then for whatever reason, I guess that the dark priesthood got a hold of them, and then they made it into a religion. They created gods. Notice what he says here. I'm going to read this paragraph again. And what was only imagined, that's the constellations, right? The figures, and you draw it up and all the stories. What was only imagined was believed to have happened. So in other words, they imagined all of these figures, created stories, okay, to help them know what season was coming so that they'd have like this celestial almanac. What was only imagined was to be believed to have happened. And the mistake, however gross, was such a pleasing delusion. It felt good, it looked good, it sounded good, sounded logical, that the fools didn't wish to be set right, but looked on anyone of the devil or the devil's chaplain who could have awakened them from their drunken dream of faith and put them to the trouble of being rational. So they accepted it as a religion. That's what I'm getting from what the author is saying here. The most extravagant adorations and the most absurd and self-contradictory fictions were consecrated to the honor of this, quote, wonder in heaven, a woman, end quote. Now, you know, the Moors also uphold a woman, right? They put the woman on the highest esteem. And the brute people, who never thought of asking their priest what they meant, nor would have endured the true and rational explication of their mysteries, were perfectly satisfied that what was predicted of the Virgin of the Zodiac had a real occurrence upon earth. And as for its infinite absurdity, the utter impossibility to have happened, the convenient adage, nothing is impossible to capital God, settled the matter at once. So no part of religion is more rational than that in which this wonderful woman of the Zodiac is to this day worshipped throughout Christendom under the denomination of the Virgin Mary, and that in words of which the astronomical sense is actually avowed and acknowledged. The most beautiful hymn of the Roman Catholic service actually bears the title of Ave Maria Stella, Hail Mary, and proceeds. And I think this is where we're going to stop it, y'all, because we're pushing 2 hours. We're 1 hour and 58 minutes. So let me see. Oops. All right. So it reads, Bright Mother, our Maker, hail, thou Virgin ever best, the ocean stars by which we sail, and gain the port of rest, end quote. All right. So we're on page 138, y'all. Let me see. So I'm going to just show, y'all stay. I want to show the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course, okay? Okay, let's see, all right. So I want to show the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. Go ahead and give this a try, y'all. This will definitely change your life for the better. I give you my word on that. This is the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. This is the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. It's going to teach you how to interpret our documents using the Ibaryath. So you're going to learn etymology, grammar. You're going to learn about our pictographs, Ibaryath word studies. You're going to gain a big vocabulary. And it's all video lessons, I'm the one who's doing the instruction, and it's going to be worth 50,000 times than this $10 a month that you're going to pay for the subscription, and you can cancel anytime. But I know you're going to keep this for years and years to come. This is important because I'm just going to go over Jeremiah 8:8 one more again, y'all. We're going to go over Jeremiah 8:8 one more again to stress the importance of the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course, having it available for you and your family. Here's why learning the language is important. If you like what I'm doing right now, you can do this yourself. I teach the principles and concepts of how I'm able to do everything that I'm doing. Okay, this is Jeremiah 8:8, the Amplified Bible. How can you say we are wise? Wisdom is the proper application of knowledge, and the law or the instructions of the Most High is with us. How can you say it? How? Justify it. How can you say we are applying this knowledge wisely or properly? Okay, how can you say it? And we are learned in its language. What language? Ibaryath, not modern Hebrew, not biblical Hebrew. Ibaryath, that's the ancient language. Okay, what do we need to know? We need to know etymology, right? We need to know grammar, parts of speech, all the linguistic stuff. We need to know that. The verbal system, the Ibaryath root word system. Okay, we need to know all of that. Why? To know if we're following the Most High's instructions. He continues, behold, the truth is that the lying pen of the scribes have made the law into a lie. So do y'all see that? Jeremiah is telling us the way to know what the Most High said is through analyzing the language, the science, linguistics, philology. Y'all see it? Because our ancestors, these scribes, made it into religion. And these religions have been used as Trojan horses, right? They're Trojan horses. These are military operations. Yes, I said it. Religion is a military operation to control your mind and your body and to take your fiat from you. All right, to submit you to the governments, to make you passive. That means to make you a slave so you won't stand up for yourself. All right, that is the purpose of religion. Now, I'm just telling y'all the truth. If you're in a camp, a church, or assembly, they're telling you they're not a religion, but they're holding all the religious titles. They function like a religion. They operate like a religion. For example, they have titles like elder, bishop, right? They have those type of titles. They have procedures, processes, language. They talk like a religion. They're a religion, even though they say they're not a religion. That is a religion. Very well may even be a cult. And you may very well experience withdrawal symptoms when you try to leave it or when you question it because you have been conditioned or indoctrinated into a cult and you're not aware of it. All right. But I'm going to not say more than that on that topic. So everybody's invited Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to come enjoy, participate in our live online class. You can observe 2 classes, doesn't cost you anything. You're going to learn a lot. The people are really wonderful. You're going to like the people in the course. It's free. We're going to do more in depth of what you see happening here. So we're working with Deuteronomy Chapter 28. I think we're on verse 22. And we actually break down every word. So we do an evaluation and analysis of every word in the verse, okay? So we look at the grammar, we look at the morphology, the etymology, all of this. We take a deep dive and you'll discover some things. But anyway, you're invited. It's not going to cost you a thing. So show up Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure you subscribe now to 101 Ancient Ibaryath. If you appreciate the work that we are doing at Zion Law School, please be willing to support. How? How can you support? Come to class Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's one way to support. You don't have to buy anything. Your presence is enough, right? Because this is a lonely walk, y'all. Trust me, this is a lonely walk when you're not involved in the Gospels and you're not doing all this religious stuff. Okay, so your presence and support is greatly appreciated. Next way to support is to subscribe to 101 Ancient Ibaryath. Okay, next way to support is to buy our books. I think we have maybe 7 or 8 books listed. in the description area, but you can go to zionlawschool.org, zionlawschool.org, and you can buy our books. That's another way to support, okay? And if you can afford it and you want to, you can make a donation on our PayPal. All of the links are in our description area of the video. But anyway, so get these products so that you can get educated. Get educated, get educated, get educated. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Think for yourself. Stand up. Be strong. Only be courageous and strong. Good night. Shalom. See y'all back tomorrow. I almost forgot. Let me give the schedule. I'm still trying to memorize the schedule too. So Monday, 9 p.m. Tuesday, 10 p.m. Wednesday, 10 p.m. Thursday, 10 p.m. Friday, 9 p.m. Saturday, 8 p.m. Sunday, 2 p.m. So I'll do it one more again. Monday, 9 p.m. Tuesday, 10 p.m. Wednesday, 10 p.m. Thursday, 10 p.m. Friday, 9 p.m. Saturday, 8 p.m. and Sunday, 2 p.m. All of those times were Eastern Standard Time. All Eastern Standard Time. And thank you for spending your evening with me. I'm Dr. Yasapa. Thank you for your support. And I'm really looking forward to seeing y'all Saturday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Shalom, all praises to the Most High.